We are here today for one of our later speakers into what has been quite a very successful Indian Ocean speaker series, which is broadly titled Indian Ocean and Beyond, Outward Bound from Gujarat. I welcome you all to this second iteration, which is being co-hosted by uh, the CIAR, which is the Center for Inter-Asian Research at Ahmedabad University, along with the Center for Indian Studies in Africa, University of Witwatersrand. We are in our second edition for this particular academic year now. We've had a couple of wonderful speakers who has literally taken you through a journey across the Indian Ocean, Southeast Asia, South Asia, you name it. What we will do today is follow the same routine. We will have approximately 50 minutes or so where the speaker gives us their paper, they speak about their topic, which will be followed by a question and answer session of roughly around 30 minutes. I hand over to Murari to.
Yeah, before I take over, maybe Professor Nirajana would like to say a few words. Then I'll introduce the speaker and welcome the.
That'll be great. Yeah.
That's very kind of you, Murari. I don't have too much to say, except to add my own welcome to everyone in the audience. I'm the director for the Center for Inter-Asian Research, and my colleagues Safwan and Murari have very ably handled the second edition of our series on the Indian Ocean and beyond. And this is a very interesting and unusual topic. In fact, it's aroused a lot of interest even amongst people who could not attend today. And it seems to be sort of trending as a topic in India because there's been some journalistic writing also on this area. So I'm very keen to find out what Professor Wibulsilp has to say. And I'm sure everyone else is as well. So I won't stand between the speaker and you anymore, except let Murari introduce the speaker. Welcome again, Professor Pimmanus Wibulsilp.
Yeah, thank you very much. So welcome everyone once again to our second iteration of Indian Ocean and Beyond seminar series, which as my colleague Safwan Amir already mentioned, is a very successful second iteration of the Indian Ocean and Beyond webinar series. Today, I would like to welcome Professor Pimmanus Wibulsilp from Chulalongkorn University, Thailand, and she will be speaking on a very fascinating topic, the Ghadar Movement and the Indian diaspora in Thailand in the early 20th century. Indeed, this is something, while going through Sunil Amrit's Crossing the Bay of Bengal, of course, there are issues related to migrants, diaspora, indentured laborers, all around the Bay of Bengal, but this angle somehow didn't feature as we are very eagerly waiting to hear more from Pimmanus. And working with the archives in Thailand, in Thai language, brings out fascinating details and very unusual information about how Thai government, the Ghadarites, and the larger network in which all these things were unfolding. So without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Pimmanus Wibulsilp to say her thoughts. Yeah, welcome, Pimmanus.
Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon for some people who might, I don't know where you come from, but I guess at least I see people from Leiden, people from India, and some of my friends from Thailand, some of my friends and colleagues. Thank you so much for the support today. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the two institutions that give me this great opportunity. The Center for Inter-Asian Research, Ahmedabad University, and the Center for Indian Study in Africa, University of British Raj. And also special thanks to my friend Murali and his colleagues to make this happen. To let me a chance to present the research that I have been doing for around 1.5 years so far. I used to have a chance to present this research in a small group of people in Thailand for a few times. But this is going to be the first time I have a chance to present it to Indian people in the place that the Ghadarites or Ghadar revolutionary we call the motherland. So I'm very excited, and I hope to get a lot of feedback and suggestion today and later on. You can just contact me, send me emails. For the topic today, the Ghadar movement and the Indian diaspora in Thailand. My scope of time will be around 1914 to 1917. This talk going to be divided mainly into around 5 parts. First, I will briefly introduce what is the Ghadar movement to someone who might relate to some of the audience who might not be Indians and who might not be familiar with this topic. The second part, I'm going to talk about some main group of historiographies of literatures that I try to engage my research with. And then I'm going to talk about the purpose of a main purpose of my research questions and source, and then the main bodies, what I found, my findings so far, and the conclusion. Let's start with what is the Ghadar movement? What was the Ghadar movement? The word Ghadar was an Urdu word, which means rebellion. Ghadar movement was an anti-colonial or anti-British movement that you can say is an early movement. It's active around 1913 to 1918. It's very hard to tell from diverse literatures how many people really involved in this movement, because it's kind of secret missions. But many historians have guessed or estimate their numbers around 3,000 to 5,000 people, and some even give it like 8,000, 7,000, 8,000. Most of them members, most of the active people, they were not in India at the time, but they come from diaspora around the world, around the Indo-Pacific oceans. The Ghadar starts from northern Pacific West Coast, from some group of Indian people in Canada and in west coast of USA at that time. It started by a group of scholarly Indian activists with some peoples in Indian diaspora living there, who felt for a long time that they were discriminated under the British Empire by Westerners, by the white people, and of course with so many other reasons. So they start to create this Ghadar party. And the first headquarters of the Ghadar was in San Francisco, in this building. How was the Ghadar movement? What are the directions? So you can see from these symbols of them is crossing swords. So the direction of the movement, or the main principle, is not non-violence movement. They believe that armed revolution was necessary. They want independence for India as soon as possible, to kick British out as soon as possible by whatever means. They start with political meeting first, small political meetings around that area. But what made the Ghadar movement very successful in expanding their networks and in expanding their members was after they produce and circulate their newsletters or newspapers, some of their publications. And one of the most famous application is the weekly newspaper, which named the Ghadar. And according to the source, to the British source, it said it's full of very highly seditious messages. They invite Indian people to join them for revolution one day. And these papers, after it was produced, written and produced in USA, it was smuggled. Smuggling circulated to many Indian diaspora, first around the Pacific Oceans and then expand to Indian Oceans, from America to East Asia to Southeast Asia, and then some reach India. In the beginnings, one of the Ghadar leaders had written that they think that they might need a decade, at least a decade, to prepare for people and prepare for everything to promote their idea before that revolution. But just 1 year later, in 1914, one opportunity comes that they cannot miss, they cannot deny. That is the outbreak of the First World War. On the one hand, the British was going to be very busy with the war in Europe. On the other hand, some German government, German officers contact the Ghadar, promised to give them some assistance, money, military training, if they decide to pursue their goal to go against the British. So the Ghadar leaders decide to continue with their goal immediately. So they send message, they send people, send message through their publications that they call their members, people who agree with them, to return to India, to return to motherland for the big revolution. And if they cannot return, they can stay in diaspora in their area, and then give help, give support in any forms. So this is the beginnings of the Ghadar. Here, this some part of the publications. They were published in many languages with some emotional, some seditious for the message according to the British will. They want brave soldiers, stir up rebellion, you have to pay with death, pension is liberty, and field of battle is India or the Mathura. And this is the network. Some of the major headquarters that mentioned a lot in both the primary source and secondary literature. It starts from here, Vancouver and San Francisco. And during that time, during 1914 to 1918, many of the Indians there take the ships, travel to this area, to different headquarters, to join their fellow countrymen, and then plan to go back to India. And Tokyo, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Manila, Singapore, Malaya, some part of Thailand, as we will see today, the main branch that they choose to do some movement to support their plans. And it was this network of the movement. These are the things that make me particularly interested in this topic. Because it's very extensive. The terrains or area space of the operation is very transregional boundary. It's across the Indian and Pacific Oceans. But apart from that, it's also religious boundary. They try to push forward their secular standpoint. They try to bring everyone on, or the sectarians, major sectarian in India, to put aside your like discontents, your unhappiness, Hindu, Muslim, Sikhs. It's time to work for your country. And another aspect that I especially interested about them is, apart from the Indians, there are also many people from multinational backgrounds. There are a lot of sympathizers from Western world, the German, the Austrians, Irish, Danish, Americans, from the Middle East, the Turks, Egyptian, Iranians, and also many people from Asia, from East Asia and Southeast Asia. For historiographies that I would like to engage my work with, that I have been to engage my work with two main groups. First is the study of the history of Ghadar Movement itself, and the second one is the history of Thai-Indian relations. Let's start with the positions or the space of the Ghadar history in the modern India. I am not so sure about this, but this is what the impression that I got through some historians, both the Indians and Western historians, and also some of the popular opinion that I can find. But my Indian friends today maybe can confirm this to me later. It seems that there are many complaints that Ghadar movement not receive enough attention they deserve. Here, the one on the top is from the historian, that they were kind of suppressed and not receive attention as much as the gentleman, the Badarok. And the one below is the popular opinions of someone who claimed himself to be the third generation of the Ghadar, the Ghadar's successor after the World War I. He said the same thing, that this Ghadar movement not received place it deserved in modern India, his main history. And that is not a coincidence. They said the British government, the British Raj tried hard to make sure that nothing was written about the Ghadar, but it's also the later Indian government, because they want to highlight the role of some people in the national movement, like the role of Kanti, Nehru. So the Ghadars with their directions or their principle might be quite different from these major movements. So they were suppressed. And this is another reason that made me interested about this topic. To maybe it's good to bring them up again. But to be fair, there are some group. It's maybe smaller group than other topic of Indian history, but there are some historians in the past 50, 60 years that devote themselves to contribute to this topic. They speak in the beginnings, in the early time, they talk about the Ghadar, the idea in the general, and later on, more and more details on different aspects come into writings. But one thing that I found in these literatures, in the beginning, their main focus in terms of space maybe in USA and in India. And later on, later writings, they start to include other diasporas from China, from Japan, from Malaysia. They become more and more trans-Pacific. Thailand, or Bangkok. Sometimes they mention about Thailand. Sometimes they use capital cities, Bangkok. Thailand or Bangkok have often been mentioned actually amongst in those literatures. That is one of the headquarters or one of the important places that there was the movement of the Ghadar. But so far, there's still no elaborate study or no detailed study in this area. And that is one of my main goals is to fulfill this gap of this group of historiography. The second group, the history of the Thai-Indian relations. If from so far that I have been explored, we might say that history of Thai-Indian relations can be divided into three main groups. The first group is going to be about the 2,000 years of cultural exchange, the influence of Indian cultures on Thailand mainly. The second group might be about the visit of some dignitary, especially during the modern time. From the Thai side, the Thai that go to India, of course, the focus is King Rama V during the second half of the 19th century, and also some other royal members. For Indian side, Indians come to Thailand. We have the name of Pintaranaka or Swami Satyananda Buri, Jawaharlal Nehru, and of course Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, who come to make a lot of independence movements in Thailand during the interwar to Second World War period. The third group is about Indian diaspora in Thailand, or it's about the life and family of some prominent Indians or Thai Indians. And it was this third subgroup that I would like to engage with the most. And here are some of the examples. There are quite a number. Indian community in Chiang Mai, House of Masbiti, one of the big families who produce textile, and the network of Indian textile traders in Thailand, in Thai society. And it's written by Thai historians, most of them written by Thai historians. In this group, I might not explore them yet, but so far that I can find, most of them, or almost all of them, would mainly talk about the economic activities and cultural aspects. For examples, about their trading network, about how they become a successful business family or businessmen in Thailand. Or on cultural aspect, about how Indian communities in Thailand try to adjust themselves to the whole society, or about how they try to maintain their cultural identities. Now that are have been the focus of historians in this group so far. And for me, not for the others, one problem I have found is that they seem to have no political activities at all. And some may assume on the general impression that we get from this literature is that Indian people in Thailand are quite political inactive. Some of the literature, some historians even say explicitly that they are kind of political inactive. They don't really have political activities. And this is really questionable for me, because thinking about Indian people around the world at the time, especially from the late 19th century onward to the early 20th century, Indian peoples in India and around the world, they of course, they increasingly engage themselves with nationalisms, with anti-colonialism. But this will not happen in Indian people in Thai diasporas? That is one of my questions. However, so far that I have found, there are a few exceptions, and that can give me some of the glimpse that Indian in Thailand also have some political activities. They also have some political movement, and these two works are the works of Roger Beaumont and Savitri Chulalongkorn. And these two books talk about the Indian independent movement in Thailand, but mainly during the Second World War. A little bit before that, during the interwar to the Second World War, because they focus on the role of Swami Satyananda Bhuri, Raj Vihari Bose, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And what they give, information that they give is that many Indians in Thailand at the time when these people come, these Indian freedom fighters come to Thailand, they were welcome with overwhelming support by the Indian diaspora in Thailand, with a lot of financial contributions. And some of them even joined as secret mission, risking their life, a few of them. So this is like, it's even made me more curious to try to find the trace of political activities of Indians in Thailand before that time. And actually, these two works mention about the Ghadar movement in Thailand during the First World War too, but just very brief compared to the period of the Second World War. It's brief, and for me, it's also quite reductive too. For example, one of the books mentioned that there might be 10 people from abroad who involved in this movement, and the area is Little India or Pahurat in Bangkok. And one of the historians called it the Sixth Movement, see it as the movement of the six diasporas in Thailand. And there are a few, 2 or 3, 6 peoples in Bangkok who joined this movement. And it's not caused many impact. It's just very brief and reductive. But it's inspired me to find more about the trace of this story. And it's like dream come true when I found one of the documents kept in Thai National Archive, and that documents, this set of documents is from the Foreign Ministry of Thailand, and the titles that was written that has been written is "The Indians are planning to cause mutiny against the British," from this year to this year, around that time. So with this, it allows me to reconstruct the story of the Ghadar movement in Thailand. And these are some of my base research questions. Start from the basic: how it started, who or which group of people involved, what are the main purpose, what are the function of Thailand, what were the activities, where, which size of Thailand is only in Bangkok or to other parts as well. And another aspect that I interest is about how this movement affect Thai-Indian relationship and all Thai-Anglo relationships, British India, Thailand, and these Indian rebels, according to the British, how were their relationship or how they see one another. In this set of documents, there actually consists of many types of letters or many types of writing. For example, the diplomatic letters correspondence between Thai Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the British legation. But it also consists of reports from other institutions of Thailand in Thai language. For example, the reports of investigation from the Ministry of Interior, the reports of local Thai governments, the report of local Thai police who were sent to investigate the Indian movement Also, there are reports of the British officers as well, British police who stay in Thailand but work for the British government. And also, it consists of confessions of Indian rebels or some deposition of the witness and spy, for example. And here, just to give you impression of what this document look like. These are some part of the documents from the early time when the British start to detect some of the movement in Thailand. He mentioned about this. The British legation mentioned about the circulation of Hindustan Ghadar and start to send like letters to Thai government to try to do something to suppress this circulation. And they start to talk about the movement in other place and mention that it's coming to Thailand. And some part of the document, half of the documents are in English, but another half also in Thai too. For example, this one is the report from the Ministry of Interior to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And here, they not only talk seditious against England, but are preaching it here, have promised to supply recruits with money and arms. Is now, and you can see a lot of activities of these people, and who were these people? Some educated, some dangerous characters according to the British. And with those documents, it's actually a big volume of documents in 10 box, consists of thousands of pieces of paper. This, but is like to my surprise too that no one used to use this document intensively, especially for this topic. And these are some of my findings. The beginnings of the Ghadar movement in Thailand, it started around early to or mid 1940, when Indian people in Thailand start to receive that Ghadar literatures, Ghadar papers. You cannot tell who sent it. It's an anonymous senders. And they receive diverse reactions from Indians in Thailand. Some even not dare to keep it in their house and have to destroy it immediately because they fear of the British will know or authority will know because it's full of really seditious, dangerous messages. But for some, they really want to join the revolutionary parts. Some of them even write to America that could he travel to America now to join? But he got the reply that stay there, stay in your area and help the revolutionary, the peoples, the leaders that will come to your area. But these circulations of letters go for a few months without further big actions until the arrival of some Ghadar leaders from abroad, from America. And it can start, it's not so clear if they arrived around late 1914 or early 1915s, but after once start to come, other people follow. And two of the leaders of the Ghadars that play the most important part in Thailand is these two people, Sohanlao Patak and Santok Singh, or sometimes he used the name Nihan Singh. Each of them actually have many names, I think, because they have to hide their identities. And when these two people arrive, many things start to kick off in Thailand. When Sohanlao Patak come first, and then he start to travel around Thailand to Indian diaspora and seeks the local supporters. And when he joins, and he found that's cooperators mission start in Thailand. And what was the mission, the main goals of this Ghadar in Thailand? they not only want, some people might think that because Thailand is close to the border of Burma and it can be used as the passage, right? That is one reason too, but it's not only that, it's much more beyond that. These Ghadarites, they plan to form at least 2 small groups of Indian armed force in Thailand. And according to their plan, after they find these 2 groups, one they will send to Burma directly, another one they will send to Yunnan first, and then to Burma to cause the mutinies. And when so they have to gather to collect, recruit people. And they never say exactly how much they want and actually how much they could get. But the plan is that after they have enough people, these people will receive military training with the help of some German officers stay in Thailand. German officers will help, and also they will be equipped with weapons, with arms. But when those arms would come from, they were sending, the arms were purchasing and would be sent from Pacific Ocean, from America and from somewhere else to this area. But it's too dangerous to send the weapons directly into India because it's easily be caught by the British government. So Thailand was planned as one of the main spots for collecting and smuggling arms. The ship will come to Thailand, and then they will move this arm from Thailand across the borders of Burma into British India. These are 3 main goals of them in Thailand. But in order to do this, they have to do a lot of things. These are the leaders and the local supporters have to make this happen. First, they have to create the safe harbors to accommodate and provide necessary assistance for the members who come, who traveling from the Pacific coast to this area. Next, they also have to find some secret spots for hiding both revolutionaries and also the weapons that were planning to collect. And also they have to set the plan how to collect the arms from the ship, move to this place, hide it, and smuggling to Burma. Apart from that, through the documents, it's also shown that Thailand was also used as a place to produce bombs, to print more Ghadaric ledgers, because they cannot bring a lot from America. So they had to set the printing place here and to bring more of these, send more of them into British territory, British India territory, so they can spread the idea. Thailand, with its strategic location in the middle between the East and India, was also used as the hub of communication. When some headquarters in the East, Manila, Shanghai, or America want to send people or letters to India, so members in India, many of them have to stop in Thailand first and then ask their network in Thailand to send them message to India. And of course, in order to do all of this, they need more financial support and manpower from local Indians in Thailand. How much is the Ghadari in Thailand? I cannot give the exact number, but for so far as I can find, it's certainly more than 10. It's certainly around like more than 80 people and maybe even more than 100. How I can know this? I list the name from the arrest warrants that the British asked the Thai government to issue to arrest those Indians. And also there are some 20 or 30 names more at least that not be in the arrest warrants but show as active members. This number includes both local and abroad, locals in Thailand, Indians, people in Thailand, and people who come from abroad. And certainly they were not only Sikhs or only Punjabi. They come from diverse regions and sectarians. And those who come from abroad come from diverse diaspora in America, Canada, Shanghai, East Asia, Burma, Singapore. They come to join this area. And for the site of their operations and the network in Thailand, it's certainly not only in Bangkok or Little India, but it's spread to all these provinces that I put the colors in it, especially in the north, close to the British borders, the British India borders in Burma today. But there are also some Indian people in the south, most southern part of Thailand also joined. And they travel to Bangkok and then were sent to other areas. And in this province, each of these provinces, some place was set as kind of major hub or major branch, and they have different functions. For example, in Bangkok, Bangkok was used to welcome new arrivals, those who come by sea or those who mostly come from by sea. When they arrive in Thailand, they use as a meeting place and also used as a main place for contact with the Germans because they have German consulate here, and also to smuggling arms and recruit financial support. For their secret mission to find a place to hide weapons and people, those armed forces, it was Phrae, the province of Phrae, this blue one in the north. Is the place that, according to the confessions of the Ghadar or the words of the witness, they say that they have concealment place there, prepare for the troops and the arms, and also the place that they said the printers for printing the literature. Chiang Mai has been known as another place in Thailand where we have a lot of Indian people, big Indian communities, and it's also used as a hiding place for a lot of financial support could be get from there because there are many big traders, rich Indian people, and the production of bomb and can be found in one of the place in Chiang Mai as well. And Park here across close to Burmese border is easily can be travels from here to Burma, so it's used as a hub for smuggling for the printings of Ghadar literatures, for examples. And in those provinces, these are some of the main places that in the Ghadar missions. Evidently, the 6 temples, the Kutwaras, both in Bangkok and Chiang Mai, the 2 main ones, was the centers, were the centers of the movement at the time. The country, according to the words of the confessors, the Kranti or the religious leaders of the 6 temples at that time, according to them, they were not the real country, but Kranti, but they were special arranged to put some of the Ghadar members in the position forward to arrange everything to take care of other Ghadaris, to welcome those who come from abroad. And this place was used as a meeting place, the main place for raising funds, the main place for preaching the idea, or to do the ceremony of oath takings. A restaurant in Bangkok, known as the Restaurant of Govindas, was set specially according to one Ghadari, specially for this purpose. It was financed by one local Indians in Bangkok to be, according to their word, a recognized resort for wandering Indians, which I think means those Qatari, when they want to contact, they want to come for the meetings, and this is one of the places when they want to send letter to one another. Of course, German consulate and German club in Bangkok also involved. And apart from this main place, many house and shop of local Indians in the centers of Indian communities, the Little India Pahurat, were used for meeting, for preaching, and for sanctuary, to hidings when some of the Indians who got the warrants, the arrest warrant, they would hide in this place. So actually, apart from those 80 people to 100 people, I really think that much more than them, people in the Indian communities in Thailand know about this movement, and at least they not tell. They might not actively cooperate, but they not tell the authority. And also, of course, some secret spots in the forest that were chosen by the Ghadars were in those areas. Another element or another place that play important roles in Ghadar movement in Thailand is the railway lines, the railway station. It was the main transportation that connect them to maintain their network, so that they can move from one place to another, the main transportation for them. And the place that they choose to be the secret spot was also can be reached by the train station in Phra. Here, Ban Phato in Phra is the place, one of the places that they have evidence that these Ghadari choose for hiding people and arms. And it's a very strategic place for this kind of mission because it's in the rural area. It's surrounded by the forest in the northern of Thailand. It's not too far from Burma, from the borders, and it's also being reached by the train. So this might be the reason why this area was chosen. But the train, the Thai railways, especially the Northern Line, was not only for the Ghadar, was not only the transportation that helped to create and maintain the network, but it's also the resource, the source for recruitment of new members. Because at the time, the Thai railway was still under construction, under the expansion, and Indian workers. Many Indians were hired by Thai government as the workers and also as the train officers or train overseers. So this is the place that the Ghadari will find a lot of Indians to join them, to support them. And it's also help because of this, because they have a lot of Indians and workers, it's kind of helps the mission, because it's really hard for authorities like to distinguish who were the normal Indians, who were the activists, because they can always say that they come to this train station or this line just to find the jobs, right? Other Indians, right? Or they want to visit some of their friends. Another reason that Thai railways was so important for them, because in some spots was still under the construction, and the Thai government hired the German engineers to take care of the area. And one such place is in Ban Phato area. So it was also used as a meeting point between the German and the Indian revolutionary, apart from the German consulate in Bangkok. In every of that location that I show you, every of that main site, there would be at least one in local Indians, I mean Indian living in Thailand, but actually more, one or two local Indians at would become the leaders of the movement. There will be the mediator between the leader from abroad, the Ghadar leader from USA, and the local Indians in Thailand. And the background of these local leaders, they are very diverse. big business owners, some are government employees under Thai institution, and some are workers. Many of them were very rich and influential. And these people really, how to say, keep a close contact, keep a close connection at the time. They travel from one place to another place very quickly to send the money, to send the news, to send the warnings to their friends. And they also play roles. These local Indians in Thailand also play role as the mediator between people in Thailand and the mission in Thailand and the headquarters in Manila, Shanghai, and America. These are some important names in each area. And as I said, apart from the Indians, right, there are others, collaborators or sympathizers as well. But for me, for the group of the people that I special interest in my research is the Asian people. At least these are the people I can find from the case of Thailand. And there were 2 Chinese who worked with the Ghadarites, 2 Burmese, 2 Laos, 1 native of Penang, or I think is we can call him a Malay, 1 Arab with the name, and at least 3 Thai ordinary people. In ordinary here mean not the people who work for the government, not the government part of the government. And these are some of their roles. For example, the 2 Chinese, actually we have their names, named Kwong and Su. Kwong was actually already in Bengal, worked for the Ghadari there, worked for the revolutionary there. And Kwong was the one who want another Chinese who can speak English well to come to India to help him. So Sung was sent from Shanghai, and he had to stop in Thailand. So that the Ghadari in Thailand will wrote him a letter to introduce him to India, because it's really a secret mission and you cannot trust anyone, right? Because there are so many spies. They have to send people from one quarter to another quarter with some secret messages. An Arab, we also have his name, Habib Idris. He was said to be the intermediary mediator between the Jerusalem in Bangkok and the Ghadarites. There are 2 Laos in the northern province in Phrae who held smuggling pistols and ammunition to a consignment press in the forest. And actually, these 2 Laos were caught by the Thai government eventually. There was a Burmese, one among the 2 that I mentioned. His name is Muang Tun Ting, I'm not sure. He was a British subject. He was a head clerk working for Thai government in the Thai Forest Department in Phrae. But he was said to be a subscriber of the newspapers. He helped the Ghadari to spread their ideas. And also when one of the Ghadars of the area who was his friend was coached by the British government, by the Thai government, he come to kind of warn people, threaten people, other people not to give any evidence or information against this Ghadar member, because he tried to help them cover the tracks. Among the 3 ordinary Thais, there is 1 Thai woman living in Bangkok that play very outstanding role. She was introduced to the Ghadari by the Germans, because she also worked for the German for their secret mission as well. And she then was hired by the Ghadar. She was really a key assistant to help a lot of missions in Bangkok. For example, passing the secret message, organize a meeting between the Indians and the Germans. She also helped smuggling seditious letters and orders stuff from Bangkok to the headquarters in the north, using her connections with the guard in the Thai railways. And she also used her own house to transfer the weapons. It's like when the weapons come from the German side, she would be the one who got it, bring it to her house, and contact the Indian to get it. And it was known among the top leaders of the Ghadarites in Thailand that if they have a problems, one of the refugee place is her house. They can run to her house, and she will give her. She will give them the hiding place. This is the trace of this Siamese woman. I'm really interested in her, but I still cannot find much information about her yet. So, my conclusion for this part is that, of course, the Ghadar movement in Thailand, the progress of Ghadar movement in Thailand is not relying on only the Indians from abroad and the local Indians in Thailand, but also assistance of many allies or sympathizers from diverse Asian nations. And some of you or some readers of my article might think that they might do it because they were high, because of financial reason, and they might be like petty collaborators and did not know what they are dealing with, the action against the British Empire, the rebellions against the British Empire. They might not know that, but from what I read in the document, I can quite sure that most of them know, fully aware of what they are doing, what they were doing, but they still take the risk in breaking the Thai laws, in challenging the British Empire. So for those who fully aware, I really think that the reasons behind their movement is certainly beyond the financial, and I think it's also involved their political belief at that time. And for some of them, for example, the Burmese, the Laos, the Malay, we might use anti-British or anti-colonialism to explain their actions. But how about the Thai and Chinese who not have the direct experience of colonialism at the time? I'm not sure this is going to fit with them or not, but we might not have enough time to elaborate on this, but my suggestion or my arguments in my paper is, I think for all of them, not for all the Asian nations, it might be possibly related to another idea along with colonialism or nationalism. That is the type of Pan-Asianism. Pan-Asianism was another idea that flourished at that time around the Indo-Pacific Oceans, especially from the early 19th century, after Japanese-Russian War in 1905. There are many prominent political leaders or activists at the time, from that time onward, that promote and support the idea. But the studies about the Pan-Asianism so far mainly focus on the prominent figures, right? The politicians, the writers, the scholars who have their writing to promote this idea. But one of my arguments in my research is that can we see this movement of these Asian people as another evidence of the real Pan-Asianism at work on ground and beyond those writing of prominent figures. And this is one of my suggestions that, of course, open for debate and oppositions. The last topic and the last point that I pay attention, as I said, is about the relationship between Thai government and this movement, and also with the British Empire at the time. For the quick look, quick glance, or you may say like superficial glance, to quickly look through the documents, especially the diplomatic letters between the Thai Ministry of Foreign Affairs and British legation, which actually a lot. You can see that Thai government really obedient in collaborating with the British government at the time. When the British legation told them to arrest some of the Indians that they have the evidence that this is one of the rebels, one of the Ghadarites, they're going to arrest them. When the British asked them to investigate the case in this area, they go and they send their people. And at that time, there are around 60 arrest warrants issued by the government of Thailand, according to the British request. And when they were arrested, the British will tell them, you have to send this to Burma, you have to send this to these people to Singapore. So they just follow what the British want. So from this, you can it's easy to assume that the Thai government chose the alliance with the powerful British Empire over the Indian revolutionaries. And this is correspondent to the previous literatures that briefly mentioned about the Ghadar. But my arguments, my suggestion is that actually, if you read into the documents carefully, the pictures might be the triangle relationships between these parties were much more complicated. I give you some examples. In many cases, there were complaint of the British legation, complaint or accusation that the Thai government's local Thai officials, local Thai provincial governments, they work with delays, they have hard workings, and they made a lot of mistakes. And those mistakes or those delays kind of causing or opening opportunities for the Indian rebels to escape or to destroy their seditious material. And these are one of the that example. Plenty of time to destroy all of the seditious paper, because the governor asked the local officials to arrest them, but not asked to so the police just arrest them, but not access others' materials from their house at all. And is they have to wait for a few days later, and then the British got the report later, and then they complained. And there is another evidence that the British legation even directly accused a Thai provincial governor to be too friendly, too friendly towards the Indian seditions. And they are apparently have sympathy towards them. And this is what the British just think for themselves, or is it true or not? We have to come to see the side of the Thai letters from those local officers, and from the evidence, maybe it's not the imagination of the British. The evidence also shows that a lot of dissatisfactions or unwillingness of the Thai, of the local people, of the local officers to cooperate with the British Raj. Many now they will complain, and many times they will conclude. The conclusion was that there is no succession of the Indians in that area because they rebel, and some even accused the British that they were too paranoid or they were too believe in rumors. But of course, this is in Thai language, so the British will not be able to read it. So they just tell their superior they just told the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And but overall, the local Thai officers hardly believe that Indians would cause any bloody mutinies within the Thai borders. They're not going to cause troubles in Thailand. These are some of the evidence in Thai, which tell that the British were too paranoid. And also there are evidence that the Thai officials in some departments give the protections to the non-Indian Ghadar supporters. For example, the Burmese that I mentioned earlier, the Malay that I mentioned earlier, when the British told that they have evidence and asked Thai government to investigate, and the reaction from those departments will say, no, they're not involved, or they're not involved anymore. And
Sorry,
we also...
So, Pimmanus, would you like to take some questions, and maybe you can bring some of these points during the discussion?
I almost finished, so maybe finish first, and then, almost. Do I still have time?
I mean, we normally end by 7:30, so we have around 22 minutes for Q&A.
Okay, I will finish it in 5 minutes. Okay, and the last examples I will show is that sometimes they also express the Thai governments also express neutrality or sympathy toward the Indian rebels against the British at that time in other countries. For example, this one, they have the news that the Indians from rebels in Singapore might cross the border to Thailand. And this is the order from the Thai government to manage with these people. You can just, the order was that search their weapons, but take care of them. So taking them in custody, but take care of them, inform Bangkok immediately, but do not put them in prison. Don't treat them as prisoners. From all the evidence, this is my conclusions about Anglo-Thai and Thai-Indian relationship at the time. For the Thai government and Indian activists, I still think that it's too far to assume that Thai government were supporter of the Indian revolutionaries instead of British Raj. But I can say that they have more sympathy toward the Indian neighbors than previously assumed or previously written, especially when we consider it at individual levels. And Thai government has hardly seen these Indian activists as enemy, and definitely no bad feelings or no idea against the Indian diaspora as a for the Thai officers. And the Ghadari were only troublemakers for the British, not for the Thai authority or Thailand. And this might explain why Thailand was chosen in the first place as one of the major bases of the Ghadar network, and also why their missions can continue in this country for some time. And how about Thai government and British Raj? My conclusions: Thai government still have a high degree of fear and awe toward the British Empire. They thus officially decide to choose the British side, and they never challenge the British sovereignty over India. But many of the Thai authorities also express that they no longer see these Westerners as invisible or invulnerable, or even they not show respect to them anymore. And I think that the seditious act of the Ghadari in Thailand and the act of the Indians rebel in Thailand who challenged the British might be one of the accelerator of such attitudes of the Thai people, of the Thai government. So this is kind of the end. Here is the conclusion of the things that I said from the beginning. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's such an interesting talk with freshly brewed ideas from the Thai archives. And yes, I mean, you're right that, it has the legacy of 1857 rebellion, and it has not got as much attention from scholars based in India as it should have got, partly because, perhaps they're not very lucky to find more documents on the Ghadarites and, undercover uh, activities of Indians within India or outside India. Uh, but I think such things are wonderful, it's kind of uncovering the diaspora and diaspora's feelings for India compared to what is happening today. Diaspora seem to have been living in a completely utopian world. Majority of them, I wouldn't say all, but at least during that time, diaspora was pretty honest, right? I mean, they were risking their life and limbs and property for an ideal India that they had in their mind. So, well, I mean, I have,
Yeah.
I'll just,
One thing I want to mention, but I forget, is that some people might think that numbers 80 to 100 it was small, right? But
yeah,
for me, I don't think it's small when you consider that that is the peak of the British power. And it's still during the World War One, the British still strong, and then like most of the Indians might still not like imagine of the full Swaraj, right? But they risk their life, they risk at least their welfare in Thailand, the whole things, and might be end up with their life, right? So I don't think this is small number at all. Yeah.
I have a very quick question that's from Thai side. So obviously, this is a fascinating conclusion that you draw in terms of official line being okay, British Raj and Pax Britannica, and authorities, and uh, you mentioned that British lady who was actually helping the network and all that. So
The
what?
Pimmanus, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what explains, yeah, well, you refer to Pan-Asianism, but what could have been the source of a kind of, an affinity towards Indian cows, um, and how, if they could at all could uh, articulate the idea of Pan-Asianism from Thai point of view. Um, so very quickly, yeah, I think, and then I'll move on to taking questions from the audience.
I also still cannot find the direct links, and actually one of my like the project in my mind is try to find the evidence of Pan-Asianism in Thailand too, but I still cannot find that. But I don't actually. I left it as a question too, that we can see this as Pan-Asianism, like the act of Pan-Asianism. But I still cannot find like better explanation, right?
Yeah.
And we might think that Pan-Asianism might only circulate among the secular, among the scholars, right? Among the politicians, but maybe it's wider than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I cannot give you the exact answer, but if you can tell me, that's really good. Yeah.
Okay, so the questions from, okay, Professor Madhavi Thampi has a question. So Professor Thampi, could you go ahead and ask your question, if possible? Or,
Yeah, can you hear me now?
yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much for this talk. It kept me, glued to to my chair for the whole time that you were speaking. I have worked on a little bit on the Ghadaris who were in China at that time. And so, I can really relate to much of what you are saying. I mean, it really is really could see that it's part of the uh, same network, same process that was going on. My research was based really on materials in the National Archives of India in Delhi. So I was really thrilled to hear about this, your discovery of this documents in Thailand, because I don't think anybody here would have been able to access that or read it. So I'm really grateful to you for this talk. My specific question was little, because you sort of answered my question in your last part. I was really what the relationship with Britain was, but so that you made it very clear. I think that's very clear. But can you tell a little more about what was the international status of Thailand at that time? It was rather unique in Asia, I think. I mean, one of the few non-colonized states in Asia. But what exactly was their, equation with other powers at that time, and particularly with Germany because you mentioned Germany frequently. So, like in China, also the Ghadarites got a lot of support from the German consuls and the German, But what was Thailand's? Because it was independent, and so what was its relationship with Germany, and what was its position during World War I in particular?
Okay, so I'm not sure that I may not remember in details about Thai history at that time to make 100% correct answer, but from what I remember from what in my head so far is that although we Thailand officially is known as the non-colonized country, but they have kind of a lot of, as I said, a lot of fears or a lot of humble state to British for one. They try to balance of powers between British, French, German, Russia, but the people who have a lot of the group of the major power who have most power in Thailand at the time seem to be the British, but there's in the early period of the World War I, they still maintain the neutral relationship, balance both British and German. But in later on, they declare the wars with the German. They choose the British side, but I cannot remember the exact time of that. Yes. And so some Thai people always say that even though we're not officially colonized, but we are semi-colonized by the British influence as well.
I liked that you showed one letter or at quoted where they say that okay, you arrest them or you round them up, but don't treat them like really.
Yeah, that's.
So that really, I think, seems to sort of show the actual sentiment at that time. I mean, Britain was really the paramount power in the East at that time, and even though Thailand, Thailand was not a colony, but it couldn't afford to antagonize Britain, but they could show in this way that they still had some agency. And is that
actually,
right?
For the Qatari themselves, I didn't show it, but in the beginning, when they start to British start to ask them to arrest the first group of the Indian rebels in Thai territory, and some of the Thai governments even try to express their courage, and that they tell the British that they're not going to send them to British territory. It's to send them to the third country. But then the British send them to Burma and then Singapore. In the end, they choose to do that, to follow. So that's why I said that they still, even they try to so hard to express that they are independence, but they still have they still want to maintain the good relationships with that big power.
I think Kaori had if that's the way I'm pronouncing it right, my apologies if not. I think Kaori had.
Yes, yes. Thank you. So I'm Kaori Mizukami from Japan, and I actually have recently completed my PhD on the history of inter-regional relationship of Indian immigrants around the Pacific Rim, such as Hong Kong, Shanghai, Manila, Japan, and Canada, America, and its connection with the Ghadar movement as well. So, but I couldn't include Thailand in my PhD, so I really enjoyed, and your talk was so excited. And let me ask you one question. Were there any particular social circumstances in Thailand that made Indians sympathetic to anti-British colonialism? For example, in North America, issues of discrimination against Asians was one of the triggers for the growing discontent of Indian immigrants. But how about in Thailand? What was the Thai context which creates?
Because the voice is a little bit interrupted. Can you repeat again?
Okay.
Yeah, the
So,
question. Yeah.
so
Omorari, can you hear is clearly? Can you repeat it? Yeah, I think there are some internet connection problems.
Yeah, Corey, you may like to kind of, rephrase it and ask it in brief.
okay, so I wonder why Indians in Thailand chose to join in the Ghadar movement. What was the context which made what was Thailand context which made the Indians in Thailand to decide to join the Ghadar movement? What was it discrimination in Thailand, or some political or some economic conditions, or such a kind of?
You mean like, is there any factors, like internal factor in Thailand that force? So far from the evidence, I cannot see, and I don't think that if they are going to have internal factors, it will come from Thai government or Thai people. But I'm not so sure about the relationship between the Thai Indian people in Thailand and British legation in Thailand as well. But actually, I did another research. On the period close to this time, I feel that the British legation in Thailand actually quite nice to, or not quite nice, but how to say, try to please the Indian in Thailand very much. But I have to say that this is the thing that happens just a little bit after the Ghadars rebel. So it might be the reactions of the British officers to be nice to the Indian in Thailand to prevent the further rebel acts after this. But yeah, I cannot see the internal factors in Thailand. So I think it's the idea that come from around the world, from the motherland, from the Ghadars publications, that like these people not cut. It's also amazing that these people not cut themselves from the political situations in their motherlands. Yeah. And which is actually quite against the image that they got from previous literatures. Yeah. Is this exactly your questions?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, so I think, are there some questions? I can see a couple of comments in the chat box. One relates to, post-independent developments in terms of relationship between Thailand and India. But of course, that was not the focus of the talk. But other question or comment relates to, was there a kind of, was there an attempt to subvert British cultural hegemony in the Indian Ocean cosmopolis? Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you like to take any of these two questions, Pimmanus.
I just there was some Thailand at the time. Also, what is the relation with Germany at that time? I already did. I don't know how to join this. Was there a thwarting of British culture happening? Yeah, I can see the questions now. The context of the Indian Ocean's cosmopolis. Maybe I don't know how to answer this. Murari, can you help?
Well, I mean, there were kind of, counter. So there was not a very structured movement to undermine, I mean, well, political hegemony, yes, but I don't know whether there was British cultural hegemony in the context of Indian Ocean cosmos. Well, it's very difficult to respond. But maybe I think if someone like to articulate their questions. So Mr. Nizaruddin, if you like to articulate your question in different words, that would be great. Or if Mr. Ravjit Singh Atwal, if you're around, would you like to ask your question? Okay.
And if not, can I have more questions?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, I forget the name of the professors, but the one who said that she was on the Qatari in China.
Professor Thampi, yeah.
She's still here? And she said that she's still here or not? Because she said that she's...
I think she left.
She left. Okay, no problems. I can contact her later. I just would like to know about, I still want to pursue this research further.
Yeah.
But is there any hope that I can find more documents about the Ghadarites in Thailand, in Indian National Archive, or somewhere in India?
Yeah, so we'll give you the email ID of Professor Thampi. You can be in touch because she's the one who has looked through the archives, and I'm sure she will be able to help you with your query. Is there any comments or
also, Kaori, if you have made some of the document in the futures that related to this topic from your scientific research, please let me know.
And speaking about the archives, I recommend you to go to the British Library, London, and they have huge collections about the Ghadar movement, and I think you can, you can put together information from the Thai archives and India archives and London archives, and then you can understand more deeper.
Yes, it's one thing that I found this is fascinating topic because the more I study, the more I feel that I don't know about the Ghadars. It's still like their network was really big and a lot of people involved, and still want to do much more research. Thailand is a part, but I actually want to follow because even though Qatari finished in around 1980, but many of their members still continue their movement in different forms. So thank you so much, and I may write email to you again for further recommendations.
So any comments by Professor Niranjana, or if, okay.
Actually, I had to take my leave for 15 minutes for another call, but I really enjoyed the arguments. I think I caught all of them. And I've thought the discussion was extremely lively also. We had never really thought of Thailand as a conduit, or actually not a conduit, and that's your argument. There is actually a major site where some of this activity is happening. And we always know that there is something happening in Shanghai or something happening in Malaya or Singapore or Burma. But one forgets that Thailand is between Burma and Malaya, right? So this is a very valuable corrective, I think, to such a perspective. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Pimmanus Wibulsilp. This has been a great talk. It also gives us a lot of fuel to move beyond nationalistic ideas or even diasporic ideas and think of something that's more pan-Asian, pan-Indian Ocean. And whether the Ghadar party gained acceptance or not, I mean, from the other side, it has always been a Ghadar party, which is almost as if it's almost inbuilt to say that more than a completely nationalistic party, it has always shown an anti-colonial or an anti-establishment kind of sentiment. So anyway, thank you so much. Thanks to all participants who have stayed with us till now. Also, a quick announcement. We have at least our next speaker lined up for this wonderful Indian Ocean webinar series is Lakshmi Pradeep. She will be speaking on the stories of corals from the Lakshadweep Islands of India. This is 26th April. So stay tuned, and thanks to everyone. Thanks to Pimmanus. Thank you, Tejaswini. Thank you, Murari. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarwan, and thank you, everyone. And thank you, Pimmanus, for taking the time.
Thank you. Have a nice
We'll be in
evening.
touch. Sure.
Have a nice Friday evening, everyone.
Yeah.